So I'm in the nursery. This is a nice new backdrop. Thought I'd just have a little chat about trimesters and how I found trimester 1 and 2 and how I'm finding the third trimester. Oh, excuse my nails, they are pretty horrendous. I'm getting them done. Ready for the arrival of said bumpage. Yeah, I'm getting them done soon. So your first trimester actually begins the first day of your last period. So when you find out you're pregnant, you might actually be 5 or 6 weeks pregnant already. So your first trimester is the first 3 months of your pregnancy. So for me, the first trimester, most definitely the hardest in terms of feeling well. Not feeling well actually, feeling pretty grotty. The whole of the first 3 months I felt absolutely rank. It was all full on nausea, full on tiredness and fatigue. Wasn't actually physically sick, which I know a lot of people are. I probably could have been, but for some reason I was kind of like fighting it a little bit. So I wouldn't let myself be sick. It's a lovely time, don't get me wrong. Whilst feeling pretty grotty, it is an absolutely amazing time, but it's hard because it's also the time that you want to keep it to yourselves. You don't want to be telling people too early on, or you might, your preference. So we had our first scan at 7 weeks. Everything was fine, there was no scares, nothing prompted us to kind of do it from that side of things. It was just that I was going away for work, which would include a lot of drinking, and I knew basically that I wasn't going to get away with going away, not drinking and not getting found out that I was pregnant. And we obviously wanted to tell our parents and our family first. So we paid for a private scan, which didn't cost much and was totally worth it. All you could see was a teeny tiny little blur and then a little pixel that went on and off, which was the heartbeat. So that's all we wanted to know, that there was a baby in there, and B, it had a heartbeat and it was healthy as could be at 7 weeks. So we had a scan then, but it is lovely that first trimester because you get your first midwife appointment, you get your first scan, and what's most loveliest of all, your bump starts to show. Well, mine did pretty early on. So in terms of cravings that I had, none really. Well, I say none. At the very beginning I had a very weird thing for oranges. Like I just couldn't get enough orange and citrus, so I suppose that's kind of a nice thing to kind of have a craving for. And I went off meat a little bit as well, only for a few weeks, but there was definitely a no, I don't want any meat situation going on. And then as the weeks progressed and I was getting more and more nauseous, the only thing that would carb that was carbs. So the only thing I could do to stop being sick was to eat breadsticks, eat like sausage rolls, things like that. And then I discovered Special K. I just got a giant box of Special K. I'd be driving around work, seeing my customers, and just nibbling on dry Special K in between seeing people, which sounds pretty grim, but just kind of kept like the nausea at bay. It's the only thing I could find that worked, without having to go down the route of trying coal and weird stuff like that that people seem to get kind of cravings for. But apart from that, there were no real cravings at all. So in terms of knowing if we were pregnant or not and the signs, we'd been trying for a while, so I was kind of looking out for any teeny tiny telltale signs. Like my breasts never really got tender at the beginning, kind of before we found out. They did a little while after, but before finding out we were actually pregnant, they were fine. Frequent urination, definitely needing to pee more. Now that, yeah, that's a thing. You kind of need to pee loads in the first trimester. Don't really know why. It's just a thing. I guess that was a bit of a telltale sign, but I didn't really think about it at the time. Yeah, then just the next sign we had was the little blue line on the stick. So apart from that yeah, so no real kind of secret ways of finding out if you're pregnant really. So of course everybody wants to have a really healthy pregnancy. So I thought at the beginning, this is great, I'm going to do pregnancy yoga the whole way through. I did it once. because you feel so unbelievably just fatigued is just the worst. I think the fatigue may have even been worse than the nausea, I think. The fatigue for me was just awful. And you're just trying to keep it to yourself, not tell anybody, and yeah, it's pretty hideous, to be fair. So I found as well that my clothes started to become quite tight quite early on. That was definitely due to the amount of carbohydrates I was eating. So my weight kind of peaked quite quickly, and then I lost a good stone, like kind of early second trimester, and then it's peaked back up again. So that first trimester was pretty tough because nothing fits, you feel rank, you a little bit emotional. Was I emotional first trimester? I think I was, but only kind of the odd day or two. It wasn't too bad. I'm generally not that emotional hormonally anyway, so I got off quite lightly, I think, or should I say Scott got off quite lightly. So for us, the first trimester was actually, although tough for me, us as a couple was lovely, because it's like you've got this little secret that you don't want to tell anybody, and it kind of almost brings you together because you're in this part of this little secret club. We quite enjoyed not telling anyone and just kind of having it as a little secret to ourselves for a bit. I'm amazed Scott kept it to himself, because usually he can't hold water, he's terrible. So in terms of advice I can give for first trimester, just take it slow. If you can, nap during the day. I was kind of having naps quite regularly, especially at the weekends, and like as soon as I got home from work. I think that you just need to listen to your body, guys. When your body wants to eat something, you eat whatever it is that your body wants and needs. So if your body wants to eat something in particular, just eat it. Just eat it, whatever it is, because if anything, just to make that first 3 months easier, just to take the edge off of that nausea or sickness if you've had that. Oh, and by the way, morning sickness, it is not 24-hour sickness. It is. Yeah, they totally BS'd us with the morning sickness tag. It's not. For me, I just felt sick the whole time. Put your feet up, nap when you can, and just eat whatever it is that your body is desiring you to eat, because it obviously needs those nutrients or whatever to get you through the day, and just roll with it. The nicest thing about that first trimester is seeing your baby for the first time on that scan. It's just, you can't describe it. It's so overwhelming, and it's just amazing just to know that everything's fine and your baby's in there, and you know, you're keeping it safe and warm as and as close to you as you'll ever be able to keep it in its entire life. And yeah, it's just incredible. It's just mind-blowing to think you've made that out of pretty much nothing.